Hello and welcome to your live match reaction with This Is Ibrox, following Rangers 1-1 draw away to Panathinaikos, winning the tie overall 3-1 to see us through to the third qualifying round of the Champions League qualifiers. Straight off the press with this one, I'm joined tonight by Iain Mitchell. I think when we were on last week, Iain, you came straight on a pod from a 10k. You'll be feeling like you're straight off a 10k after watching that.
After that goal went in, it was like 20k. Honestly, that was a nerve-wracking night, a lot more nerve-wracking than I wanted it to be. I think performance-wise, it's still going to be like square pegs, round holes kind of thing. There's a lot in that starting 11. It's not what we need it to be, but you need to be positive. Like, that's a difficult tie to get through overall so early into this like new tenure. A lot of players making their first European appearances in these last two, so a lot of excuses. Exactly. A lot of excuses were possible, but they got through it. And that last 15, 20 minutes was pretty stress-free. So, that's all you can ask for. Again, Gassama, a massive impact, and he's shown his quality already. That's one chance goal, and that's exactly what we needed tonight. So fair play to him especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And just while we're here, thanks to everyone that's wishing us a good evening, etc., and getting your questions across in the comments. Keep them coming. We'll get to the best of them throughout the night. And we'll unpackage things now. And when the squad was read out, I know you had got it pretty much spot on from last night's pod.
Yep.
I was quite shocked to see Dowell start. I felt he was very ineffective in the first game. He was very, very ineffective at the weekend. I just don't know what he shows that gets him sort of the start. I actually seen a very funny tweet that said, Kyran Dowell must have pictures of Russell Martin and McDonald's. How in God's name has he started? Or along the lines, I'm paraphrasing there. What was your reaction when you seen that starting 11?
It's what I thought, yeah. And I think the big thing, which proved to be right in the end, is that we had options off the bench. Like, it's kind of clear in that way, because as soon as we go 1-0 down and that goal's confirmed, which took a bizarrely long, I know it's tight, of course it is, but my God, how long did that take? But as soon as it goes 1-0, Russell Martin makes the change. Gassama comes on for Curtis, scores a minute later. Like, it played out perfectly. And yes, it's a risky move, especially how bad we were, not only last week in the first half, but that first half today, we could have easily been a goal or two down. So it did pay off in the end, but it didn't surprise me. Like I say, it's what I thought we would do. It kind of comes down to lack of options, because if you don't play Dowell there, who actually I don't think was terrible, maybe so much off the ball. I think he'd done quite a lot, won some headers, won some tackles, got his body, that kind of thing. He sort of sells the goal, maybe you could say, as well. It's not great, but when you look at who else could have played right mid, it would have been Curtis out of position, Gassama out of position, Cortez out of position. I saw people saying they wanted Leo Cameron maybe up there.
Yeah.
There's no perfect solution, is there? So one we maybe got away with, but it's the kind of, I said it last night, it's the key position we need to fix. And hopefully now we have the confirmation, at least, of a certain budget, and we can go ahead and do that. So let's hope that's the next.
Yeah, we're guaranteed Europa League football at very least until the end of January. You talked there about that right wing slot. Mikey Moore was in today for a medical, we're led to believe. I'm not sure he is primarily a right winger. I think his preferred position is left, but he can play right as well, and the 10 or through the middle. We've also been linked to Oliver Antman as well. So it looks like we are targeting that area of the pitch, and I think tonight was extremely evident, as it was in the first leg, that we do need reinforcements there. And it does show that when you spend a wee bit of quality on these guys in the wide areas, I'm talking about Gassama here, they're going to produce. Between Gassama and Jack Butland, they've pulled us through this tie over the two legs. Quickly just run through how things went in the first half. Very slow start from Rangers. Things looked a wee bit methodical. I think we were kind of, I don't know, between trying to play our style in our game but waste time at the same time. Panathinaikos had two very good chances, one in the 14th minute, which was a mix-up between, if I've got these the right way around, a mix-up between John Suter, who I thought was extremely poor tonight again, and Max Aarons. Boy comes in at the back. Nice save low at Butland's front post. And yeah, sort of we got away with one there. and then again, play breaks down Aaron's side, ball gets whipped in, a nice ball, striker does what striker should do and hits the front post, and point blank save from Jack Butland again. He's probably busier than the NordVPN application department this week. Few words on Jack Butland, Iain. He's been very crucial over these two legs. People were in doubt maybe a couple of weeks ago if he would even be here at this stage, considering that we've looked at other targets. Number one for you?
Right now, yeah, it's got to be. Great form that he's in. And this is the thing I tried to touch on last night. For me, Butland is always fine if Rangers are up against it, or if we're in a tricky game, maybe a 50-50 game, and he has a lot to do. It's that concentration piece that I think lets Butland down when he has nothing to do. So tonight was again sort of case in point. You know, he has a lot of saves to make in the first half. That one you touched on there, I don't know if it just hits him more than he saves it, but he's in the right place. He's got the big frame out, so he's done everything he should do. A couple more saves in that half that were crucial. The goal was it's one of the kind of awkward ones, and I'm kind of jumping through a bit, but that was the only thing that's a bit, could he do better? But it's obviously a kind of lucky goal from their end, you could say, especially the offside. So not too much he's done wrong over the piece. And yeah, he's played himself into that form that we need him to be if we're going to have any kind of successful season. So no, I mentioned Gassama and his quality. Butland is just as, if not more important for us getting through this tie. And it's his shot to lose at this point, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And the two chances to me, and mostly, I think there was the other one which I've not spoke about, was the mix-up between Giga and Tavernier, where the strikers broke into the box, squared it, and the supporting players fluffed these lines for them and put it over the bar. Everything I felt, any chance that they had tonight, we were the makers of our own downfall. I felt we were quite sloppy in possession. I felt Tavernier was extremely poor in possession, and Suter poor at mostly everything. It could have been a penalty, the one that came off his arm, where he should have not let it bounce and just defended like defenders should. Max Aarons doesn't look comfortable at left back, looked so much more reassured when we went to that back five and into the sort of back right position. To me, I think there is still a glaring hole in that defence. One at centre back, one at left back. I think Hugo Bear actually posted it here. Yeah. Need left back and left centre back. Do you think this is the most important position that we need filled in the team at the moment? Because I just can't see that down for me. I hate to speak out of turn, and I hate to jump ahead, and I hate to jump to conclusions, because it is only two competitive games, let's be honest. But the likes of Tavernier and Suter, it's almost like we've seen this movie before a wee bit with the two of them.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think there's a couple more bodies in that as well. I mean, Dessler's chance at the end, you know he's going to miss it just because it's Dessler's. So there's a few of the same sort of cast. And it's as we've said all season, we need freshness throughout the team. Tavernier cannot play 60-odd games, yet that's two important games there. He's played 90 minutes again. You cannot expect him to play going forward. And for me, it kind of hampers Aarons so much that people get opinions on him very quickly. Like people have been saying tonight, he was off it, he looked unfit, he was slow, he was sleeping at times. For me, it's just things that a right back would do out of position. You know, the one you touched on with Suter especially, he won't be used to that ball coming across. And that sounds so simple for professional football. You always be on their toes and stuff like that. But it's just that natural body shape that then puts you on the back foot straight away. And again, like out of possession, stuff like that, you just notice things that I think if Aarons is right back, we don't see that. And you said it yourself, the last 15, 20 minutes, we had a back five. Aarons didn't put a foot wrong. Yes, it's an easier circumstance in that moment, but it's quite telling. For me, it should be Tavernier and Aarons swapping out at right back. We need a new left back because we know Jeffrey's not going to cut it. He's going to keep making those same mistakes that he made last season. Same idea. We need a first choice left back. And again, we've said it a few times, Suter had a poor game tonight for me, especially on the ball, which I think is a bit strange for a centre-back, but because we rely on your centre-back to start moves and start passing and beat the press and all this kind of stuff, he just wasn't at it at all. Yes, he got his body in the line, that classic siege defender, siege mentality thing that we say every time about Suter. He was good at that side of it, a lot of headers and stuff, but if you're giving teams chances the way we are, you're not going to get away with that. There was a spell last season as well where we were winning quite a lot of games, like 2-1, 1-0, and we were getting away with this, whether it was a Butland save or a block on the line kind of thing. You don't win titles winning games like that. You don't get through massive games consistently giving chance to me like that. Because if Panathinaikos, let's be clear, if they had a good striker in terms of a prolific striker, or the attacking midfielder could keep the ball down, they score a couple of goals tonight. So there's definitely worries there, but we need to try and keep it positive. We've somehow squeezed through, and not sure how I've done it, but a lot of credit I think has to go to Russell Martin for that, for the timing of the subs.
Yeah, and we were under the cosh right up until half time. I think we all said you would bite the hand off nothing each at half time, and it came nothing each, holding on to that 2-0 lead from the first half. Quite surprised to see us come out the second half. I'm right in saying we didn't make any changes at the half. It was Finlay Curtis was the first to go off inside the second half, and it was again more of the same the second half. Tough sledding. They came on as strong. They opened the scoring on the 56th minute. Bit of loose defending from Max Aarons. The boy worked his way back out on his left with an in-swinging cross. Kyran Dow completely sleeping and switches off at the back post. Very tight call. VAR seemed as if it took all day, but I think we were all in agreement that it looked on with Jiga's back foot. Header bamboozled Butland. I don't know if I can blame him for this. It's probably that he's not really expected the boy to do that. A good finish, all the same, from Drusic, but again, it felt like it was coming, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And I sort of tweeted at the time, we'd kind of gone away with a few to that point. Obviously, there's been saves, some poor finishing. We were due a goal going against us, kind of thing. And is it a good finish? Is it just the way it's hit his head? I think it's kind of spun the ball, and that's bamboozled Butland as well, I think. So a few moments in there, and as you said, if Dill just follows his man, he probably wins that. I feel like I see what he's trying to do, to maybe try and defend him a little bit in terms of, well, if I let him go, he's offside, so we're fine. And that would be the case, but he's not to know that Aarons and possibly Jigga down the bottom there are sort of, do they get out quick enough? Are they sort of a bit slack there as well? So there's a few points of failure, but at that moment, I absolutely feared the worst. I won't lie. I didn't see us having the attacking threat to go up the pitch, and I thought the heads might drop, and obviously that crowd, yeah, it's not the worst atmosphere that some of those would have played in. Obviously that kind of Hampden-style pitch helped us probably keep the atmosphere a bit quiet, but I was fearing the worst. I thought if they keep at us here, we're in trouble, and that's where you say to yourself, that VAR check took a while. I don't know if that maybe helped us a little bit.
Great point.
At some point, as a professional, you think this has took too long. It's probably a goal, and we can try and get our heads around that fact. Whereas if that's just a goal and kick-off, we've seen that over the years. One goal becomes two very quickly. So I think, as I say, Russell Martin was clever to take a pause, get a sub on, maybe get a few instructions on there to keep it tight or whatever, and obviously it paid off perfectly for the next couple of minutes anyway.
Yes, absolutely. We made the sub 58 minutes. Jedi Gassama comes on, quite endearing himself to the Rangers fans quickly. And by the 59th minute, Jedi Gassama had scored. He had equalised one each. Good play down the left from Raskin, manages to square up the defender. Shot gets blocked and then falls to the feet of Danilo. I feel like Danilo done excellent here to sort of weave his way around and get the left-footed shot away. His then next shot gets blocked and falls into the path of Gassama. The concentration and the technique to keep that volley down and put it right in the postage stamp corner, right off the post and in, I thought was a fantastic finish from Gassama. And yeah, what a way to sort of enter the field. It's like I'm repeating myself from last week, but we're quickly falling in love with this boy, aren't we?
Yeah, it's exactly what we wanted, a guy that can finish and give you numbers. And like I said at the start, one chance, one goal. That's what you need a night like this. I'm glad you mentioned Danilo, because I was very critical of Danilo, especially that first 35 minutes or so. He just wasn't holding the ball, wasn't winning his fouls, wasn't being strong enough. And maybe we've been spoiled over the years with Morelos up front. I saw a few people kind of tweeting that sort of thing about how if he was there, it's a different game. And it depends what version of Morelos would have been there, obviously. But just that ability to hold the ball, win your foul or two, get you up the pitch is so key in a big European away game. And Danilo wasn't doing that for me. But for that goal, he kept the attack going. Good shot. He's unlucky not to score with a couple of those. And yeah, Gassama, it's sort of right place, right time, but there's so much for him to do to keep the ball down, to hit it sweetly, to hit it away from the goalie. And it's one of those ones, as soon as he hits it, just the angle we're at, it's a goal. And it just if you flip it and how you'd feel if that was like the opposite way about, how deflating that must have been for the home fans, thinking, right, we've finally broken down, let's go get a second. Oh, well, it's one each. And yeah, tie's not over, obviously, still 20-odd minutes, 25 minutes to go, but it's a real sickener for them, and it just lets us breathe, relax, and you saw how easy that last 15, 20 minutes. There's very little highlights. I can't imagine you've wrote too much down for the final portions of that game because of that goal. So, fair play.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here, and I've wrote absolutely nothing.
Exactly. And that's not unprofessional. That's simply how well we played out that time and just killed the game. So,
do you know something? We're here to be raw and we're here to be honest, and yeah, it's got to feel organic. So that's exactly what it is. On the Danilo stuff there, again, we were chatting throughout the game. Danilo, I think we can agree, is not a great lone striker. I feel like Danilo, when you watch his highlights playing in Ajax, you see his performances here. His best performances has come as a supporting striker. Last season as well, our best purple patch round about Christmas, December, was when Danilo played off Igaman up front. Now, when I look at how we play and the style of play we're going to adopt the past couple of games and in pre-season, looks like we're going to go one through the middle. Now, I look at our three strikers, I see Igaman, I see Dessers, I see Danilo. I feel like Danilo and Dessers won't do it in this system. To me, we've seen and we know everything we want to know about Dessers, and I get that people will disagree, will agree and disagree about that. Marmite type of guy, Marmite type of player. The only one for me up front that will do is Igaman. Now, I want to try and still keep this positive, but I think it is imperative that we go out and sign a striker or two. And I get that would mean moving one or two of them on, but I just feel that the only one that will do within this system, from what I've seen so far, is Igaman. I would just hate to see us do all this work in the transfer market, and it looks like we've actually built quite a good team so far, and not sort of sign one. Sign the guy that's going to finish things off. Touched on it earlier, that Dessers chance at the end. I almost felt like I knew it was coming. One-on-one chance, bread and butter stuff for a striker, comfortable save for the keeper. He knew exactly where he was going. To me, Iain, good striker there, kills the game off. One-on-ones with your goalkeeper, bread and butter stuff. Should be getting 10, 15 goals a season with one-on-ones at least.
Yep.
Where do you stand the striker debate?
Yeah, I think if I touch on that final point there, it's really proof for me of why Dessers can't be the man. Because if he has time and he has to think about things, he misses chances, he overthinks it, he complicates it, he doesn't score at the end of the day. And yes, that's a 2-0, a 3-1 aggregate win. If that game was sort of poised going into towards extra time, and Dessers has that chance and he misses, like that's unforgivable. Quite simply, yes, he's behind people in training, like sort of pre-season wise, he's not as sharp as he might get to, but that's just not an excuse that I can pass for that kind of chance. And it just is testament to what Dessers has been at Rangers. He scores goals, yes, but he misses so many, and that's the ones that cost us points, cost us trophies. Again, going back to Danilo, I'll never see him as the guy that's going to score you even 15, 20 goals across a season. Might get you plenty of assists, like you say, if he's a supporting striker, if he's brought in for certain games, certain moments at Ibrox. Like, you maybe don't need a Rothwell, Raskin, Diomande trio, like if you're playing, I don't know, Falkirk, Livingston at home, but as that when Danilo comes in, I'm fine with that to be an extra option there. So I think there's still probably a place for him, but we can't have to rely on Danilo. Like, these two games have proved that, yes, he's trying, yes, he's running, he's probably fitter than he's been at any point at Ibrox, which is good, but if you can't hold the ball up, if you can't be dominant and powerful up front, you'll get flung about by defenders up here. Like, it's just fact. So it's not going to do it. I still would have my doubts about Igaman being that lone striker, to be honest, because as you say, he works better close to people and little 1-2s and tricks and stuff. So I'd rather it than the other two, but I don't think there's a perfect option there as it stands. So for me, same as yourself, I'd be selling a couple of them, bringing in a couple, and even on top of that, like a loan maybe, just to kind of have a fourth option, because when that season we won the league, we had 4 guys sitting that if one, two wasn't doing it, he had a decent third and fourth that could come in as well. So a worry for me. It's probably not the most pertinent thing to talk about tonight, because it's not as if Danilo missed chances or had that, but it's just that all-round striker play. Like, he just felt like a man down for me for a lot of the points of that game. And if you have him as a man down, and obviously Dowell has his shortcomings, and you have other issues. These suddenly get highlighted a little bit and make tonight a bit more uncomfortable than it should have been overall. Because I mean, Panathinaikos is a tricky tie on paper, but they're not that good a team, really. When you sort of break it down, we've said it this whole pod that their best chances came from Aaron sleeping, Tav sleeping, Jigga giving the ball away, Suter being Suter at times. So it wasn't as if they were carved as open and these free-flowing moves, and it was attack in that sense. And that's when, if you're going into your third qualifier, you're caught against better teams. If we then get to the playoff, that's what Benfica or Club Brugge, that's Champions League level teams that will just wipe the floor with you. So it starts from that striker position for me. We've got so much more to do, but again, we're trying to keep it positive. We're very honest people, sadly, so there's still flaws in this team for sure.
Okay, let's keep it positive. Let's show a wee bit of love here to the manager, because around about the 74th minute, he brings on Jefty, changes us to a back five, pushes Max Aarons over to the right wing back slot, and Tavernier then tucks in as the sort of right of that back three. I felt we looked pretty comfortable, albeit that they threw caution to the wind, just started throwing everything at the game. They had one that flew past the post, but aside from that, I can't remember them doing too much, and we broke up the park a couple of times. I quite like this. We did say this is Russell Martin's debut in Europe as a manager. He managed the game out well. We looked good for the win at that point. So for me, I'm absolutely delighted for him. He stuck to his plan, stuck to his game plan, and he's got a result in a game where, when we looked at the result where it could have been Brann, Servette, or Panathinaikos, we were dreading it that it was Panathinaikos, knowing that we could sort of drop into that next playoff for, was it the Conference Europa League, the next playoff, and it could have been Shakhtar Donetsk, or remind me who, Shakhtar or no, sorry, it wasn't. Is it? Aye, it was. I'm all over
the place.
Yeah. Credit where it's due here. Managers navigated a very, very difficult tie, and we're into the next round, and I was going to say against what could be a favourable tie, but currently with Servette and Victoria Pisen, it's 2 each on aggregate with 71 minutes gone. Pisen have turned that round, currently 2-1 up away to Servette. So we don't know who we'll come up against in that next tie, but certainly got to give Russell Martin his flowers here.
Yeah, 100%, because I think we all said, like, pre the first leg, that this has came too soon. We don't know how the squad's going to look, don't know how certain players are going to be playing, and there's a lot of question marks over that. And again, Russell Martin in general trying to adjust to European football, because I thought he'd be quite stringent, and like, he plays 4-3-3. It's all he done at Southampton, it's all he done at Swansea, as far as we can tell. It's probably all he's going to do. And as you say, for him to think in a European game, which is still slightly in the balance with 20 minutes to go, I mean, if they score again, then suddenly we're all nervous. So the fact he's thought, no, this the best thing to do right now is this formation, switch this up, and the players look comfortable, which does make you think they're clearly trying new things. Like, there's been the Dunfermline friendly, the Hamilton friendly, the Barnsley friendly. We don't know what shape and formation and style they've played in these moments, in these games. So they could have been trialling this here and there. So yeah, all credit to him. Again, he's maybe making a few brave calls. Like, I think as a fan base, we're all against Kyran Dill starting games, but he's not let that affect him. How often are we sort of bashing Dill here? But it's just a fair example of a guy that we all basically want rid of, to be truthful. But Russell Martin, by his guns, he's trying a certain thing, and it's not like he doesn't care what we think. It's more just that he backs himself, the coaches back their plan, their style here, and for this style to work, there's going to be some rough patches. He needs to sort of double down on it, and to have that flexibility is going to be key the next few months.
Yeah, and see on that, Iain, there's something he said in his unveiling, and he actually said it in the Sky Sports interview a couple of days ago, was that we win while we develop. And I think that was a big concern for everyone. I mentioned it a couple of pods ago, that the concern for everyone was, you're trying to throw this many new players together, give them this style of play, and try and enforce it in this league. That's going to take a long time. We've seen it, I hate to mention them, but we've seen it with Ange Postecoglou, with quite an stringent possession-based game that took them so long to get right. I think that was a worry, and that was a scar tissue amongst our fans, that would happen here. It may still, we're only 2 games in, but I think that's even more important to emphasise, that how well we've done to get through this tie against a very tricky opponent, probably the worst draw that we could have got on paper. So the other positive I think I can see from this is that, I think you mentioned at the top of the show, because we're now guaranteed Europa, there then becomes a higher budget to go and get other players. Now, the board have got to see that there is still holes in that team. We still need to strengthen maybe 3 or 4 at least when you look through that team. But we'll not stay here too long. Thank you everyone for the comments. If you get any quick questions, fire them on. Everyone that's joining us at the moment, please make sure you describe. We're seeing a lot of new names in the comments section. We are trying our hardest to push right up to 10k, and with your help we can do that. So if you're not listening live, if you're listening to the replay back, or you listen to audio only, make sure you're sharing us with your friends, getting them to follow us, getting them to subscribe too. We know you're all in Rangers group chats. So yeah, Iain, Discord, how's it looking? Are we doing well?
We're getting there. Same idea, pushing towards 50 in there just now. So it's getting progressive. There's a bit of chat in there just now, right a second, I think, actually, about the game as well. So I said, just everyone's like us. They just want to talk about Rangers 24/7, especially nights like this when you've had a good result. There's plenty to talk about. There's plenty to dissect. So that'll go on through tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially amongst the This Is Ibrox community, we want to get involved and we want to bring everyone together, because everyone just chats away in the comments anyway. But we are back tomorrow night, I'm right in saying, 7:30. So for anyone that doesn't know, Sundays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 live on YouTube. Audio releases the following morning, and we'll cover games post-match as well. So Iain, my absolute pleasure to be joined by yourself. We're through to the next round. I'm delighted to be saying that. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be back on here in 2 weeks' time after we're through the next round of that, the playoff round. Am I getting a bit ahead of myself?
No, quite. We're going to have his favourites. So it doesn't matter who gets through it, Pilsen or Servette. We're going to be the favourites in that tie, I'm sure. Hopefully there's a few more signings in the door, because that's what I checked on Twitter the other day, whether it was a new squad list that goes out, and it is. So it's not a 1 or 2 changes, it's a full new squad list. Yes, you need to think of your Scottish trained and all this kind of stuff, of course, but I'm hoping the squad is a bit more set for the next round rather than it was for Panathinaikos. So here's hoping.
I'll not ask you who you'd remove from the squad, but thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. Have a lovely evening. Good night.